Hi, I'm Lindsey Bennett with PAFootballNews.com, and I'm here with Jimmy Smith and
Joe Millard.
Joe Millard, the offensive line coach of the Troy Trojans, and the head coach, Jimmy. We're going to ask him a few questions, see how the preseason is going to go, and heat acclimation, and ask him a bunch of questions that all the fans want to know answers to. How many guys did you lose to graduation?
We lost 13, Lindsey, 13 players. We were fortunate a year ago to have a lot of kids playing football. A lot of our seconds got in throughout the season, so affords us the opportunity to reload a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah. With what key losses did you have with graduation? Like a couple of the guys that you're really going to miss and big shoes to fill.
Jed Feldmeyer, he was an all-state guy up front. My son Clayton, his leadership was paramount. We also had Cameron Harwick in the secondary. Jackson Taylor was another big one at outside backer, and a handful of others too that were good players. The biggest loss will be their leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They were a group of really good leaders, and I don't think guys like that are born, and so it's a process, and we'll see where this next group goes with that.
Mm-hmm. Now, heat acclimation just ended on Friday, and preseason starts today. So how did you make it through heat acclimation, and how's going forward in the preseason here looking for you guys?
Good. We're sitting around 37 or 38 players, which is about where we are. It's a small group of kids. Mm-hmm. We're a small school. Sometimes tough to get a JV and varsity together with just 35, 40 kids, but we've been fortunate enough to find a way to do it. Last week in heat acclimation, the biggest thing is it gives those younger guys some time to integrate with the older guys. In the old days, we separated the JV, the varsity. Mm-hmm. The numbers, I think, universally in the area aren't there to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And heat acclimation, although you're limited in the things you can do, it does give those younger guys a good opportunity to integrate in and be a part of the team and be comfortable. Mm-hmm. So last week was a good week.
Mr. Millard.
Yes.
You run the secret sauce that makes Troy the machine it is. How is going forward with the offensive line and the different changes and the different personnel, how's that going to affect what's going forward for the 2024 season?
Well, our process doesn't change. Our thought process and what we do as far as trying to bring guys together. The line is kind of a different animal where it's a group of guys all moving forward together, and it's more about like Jim was saying, finding those guys to fill a couple of holes that we really lost last year. Our center was a big one, Sean Wood, and of course Jed Feldmeyer, like he mentioned, a couple of experienced, seasoned guys that really.
Okay, you got to be very hard to replace.
Yeah, very hard.
Until you get the wheels on the ground and 2 or 3 weeks under maybe some of these younger guys' belts that can pick it up and.
Yeah. We did have a really good off season with a couple of kids that I think could make that step. Mm-hmm. Lifted a lot. We're there for the open gym, so it's very promising, and it's just working them into the process now.
Yep. Now the NTL's tougher than it's ever been, and how, like, Wailusing and Towanda is upcoming. How do you see yourself faring throughout the 2024 season in NTL?
Well, I think we're probably a marked team, to be honest with you. I think it's well known that we had a season that has never happened in Troy a year ago with 12 consecutive mercy rules. It's never happened. We return a lot of guys. Now, obviously, this year has nothing to do with last year, and that's a big topic of discussion for our team. But I think we're a marked team in the NTL. I think there are, you mentioned it, I think there are a lot of good teams. You've had Canton over the past 4 years that have won over 40 games. They won 9 or 10 games a year ago. They're a great program. You have Towanda that I think maybe lost one player to graduation off of a pretty good season. They're going to be strong, and Wyalusing, who really turned out to be a good football team by week 8, 9, 10, and 11, gave Mount Carmel really all they wanted. I felt like, and I think Wellsboro's numbers are way up comparatively. Coach Wright and North Penn, his second year, he's going to have things rolling. One of our old assistants, Coach Wright, Chance, is helping his brother. It's going to be a big help over there. I think the NTL is going to be strong, Lindsay.
Now, you mentioned what a great season you had last year. Now, for Troy, the bar is set very high. So now all your fans and all the people that watch Troy, I think you guys are ranked number 4 in the state coming into the season. How does that pressure affect the coaching staff and the players?
Well, I think the standard has been set, and the pressure. It's a good pressure to have the type of standard that requires excellence and a high level is, not everybody can deal with that. It takes special people, but it takes special people to play football, Lindsay. This isn't a game, for everybody.
It's not golf or chess. It's
no.
You got to man up and pull your bootstraps up and tighten that chin strap.
No, we're very proud to have built the program that we've built here in Troy, and the standard's been set, and they understand what that is, and we're never going to complain about having high expectations in Troy, and we're excited for that. And at the same time, I don't think we can be afraid to fail either. Failure isn't something you can be afraid of, or you'll never take the next step. So we've done some things with our schedule leading up to this season. It's going to be a grind for us. We've got some 5, 6, 8 size schools on our schedule, and I think that's going to be important for us to take the next step if we can endure the trials of the battering that you take with a small school. That's a big thing.
Defensively, are you guys going to approach the season defensively the same way you have in the past few years?
Joe runs our defense. He heads that up. I'll let him answer this.
For the most part, the system is the same. A lot of times it's just finding the kids to plug in positionally and making small adjustments depending on what front we're going to run based on the kids that we have. If you have a team that's full of guys my size, you can't really run a lot of safeties and corners and things like that, and vice versa. If you have a lot of linebacker style kids, you can run more of a 3-4, 3-5 type of look. And so we're going to go in with the same mentality, and first and foremost, like, the idea is just be tough, and go from there, depending upon what we see the kids have. This week is big for defense because you can finally hit and you can finally tackle, and you can see who are gamers and who aren't.
And as I've watched you guys coach through the years, you guys have built a culture. And that's why I think you guys are where you're at today, because of the culture that you set as them little kids are watching you guys, and as they come up through the system. And that's kind of how Southern does it as well. And you guys are kind of mirror of Southern, because you guys have a culture that starts really young and just goes boom, boom, boom like a pipeline. Would you guys, and I know I'm not really comparing you to Southern, but that's kind of the staple in Pennsylvania football to say, man, if you could be like that team, that's what you want to be.
We've done our best to like individualize our culture and try to emulate the things that programs do well. And you're right, Lindsay, Southern Columbia may be like one of the best small schools programs in the whole country. Unfortunately, they're in our district. So to get out, you're looking at beating one of the best small school teams in the country, and I don't care what class it is. They, what they've done over there is something that's probably never going to be done again anywhere, short of there being, private schools that are allowed to do whatever they want. So, but yeah, we've worked hard to build a culture of toughness, and we, one of our big things is our strength training. You know, everybody can get stronger. You're limited with the kids you have, but you know, it's well known that if you're going to play football in Troy, that you've got to lift weights throughout the season and be as strong as you can be, and that's something that's helped our program, I think.
And if you're going to be compared to somebody, why not be compared to one of the best schools in the whole country?
Yeah, it's
You know what I mean?
flattering
So
a
that's
little bit
pretty-
when you say
yeah.
that, but yeah, they're at a whole nother level beyond us, even
Yeah.
with their program. But it's all time, and those guys have, you know, 40 years plus
Yep,
with a whole group of coaches, and there's nothing they haven't seen out there.
yep. Thinking of that, have you lost or gained any coaches, or you still got the same crew up and down the coaching roster?
Well, we were very fortunate. This is year 14, and we've had the same group. We've had some volunteers along the way that have kind of come and gone, but we lost our first paid coach, and Coach Wright, who went over to coach with his brother in North Penn,
Yep.
understandably.
Mhm.
And you know, of everybody that we lost a year ago, he was a huge loss for us. But I'm really happy that he's able to help his brother, and
Mhm.
they're going to do great things over there. They're going to have, you know, it may take them a couple of years.
We're starting to form a good nucleus,
Yeah,
and we're gonna build that out and become
Yeah.
substantial. Yep.